The cop that you don't know is going to get out, and the first thing he's going to do is smack you upside the fucking head with a nightstick, and you're never going to wake up again. And yeah, the night will be planted, the sun will be planted. And you're fucking blood called legalized murder, and we can get away with it every single fucking day. I just can't take it anymore. The next time I see a fucking money over in my car, they'll jump out of the fucking freaking house and grab the newspaper. And I'm going to beat you with shit with that fucking steel pipe, and I'm going to walk over 2 grand. And I just pull the pipe into the newspaper, and the pipe falls out of the newspaper, right? And into the drain, jump in the drain, into the drain. So, you can't do it. If you know it, you can say, well, it's with a steel pipe. The other side, there's no pipe against it.
These guys with the steel pipes came after me in my YouTube Corruption Part 2, 3 hours, 35 minutes. If you drag it to 18 minutes, 35 seconds, Charleston Police, Joe Beeks comes and says, I'm sending guys out with steel pipes on you. Ha, ha, ha. Also in there, you can hear the guys with the steel pipes trying to beat me. This guy and some other Charleston cops, this is a Charleston cop speaking, have told me that they have put heroin, poison, rat poison, methamphetamine, etc., into my food and drink. I was being starved. He explains later that I am not allowed to work. I used to wear a shirt and tie, always make $50,000 a year, be the top producer, go on 2 vacations a year. These guys were starving me to death. I was evicted from my apartment after they fired me from my job, and I tried to get online at the shelter. They won't let me access to the shelter or have any food for days at a time. He repeats back to me what he has told me in the past, which drugs he's putting in my food.
Heroin, methamphetamine, and overdose. You know this shit costs? This ain't cheap. I ain't going to be wasting my time giving you my expensive drugs and pissing you off. Unless you step on my fucking toes and you piss me off when you're peeking in my daughter's bedroom window. All these things didn't happen.
Telling you now how they kept me in isolation. Anywhere I would go with these tapes in my pocket. Once again, I wouldn't go to Kroger's or the movies. I'm going to go to a bar. I am dehydrated. They won't allow me any food or water. So I would go to bars and beg people, please, just speak to me. Just talk to me for a little while. I need you to hear these tapes. And they would tell every single girl to make up lies about me, that I was peeking in some girl's bedroom window. He admits now all of these things never happened. So when I would appear somewhere, everybody said, oh, there's that guy. There's that guy. He's a pedophile. He rapes his daughter. He peeks in girls' windows. He admits that he's lying about everybody. That's how they kept me in isolation, so nobody can hear what I have to say or hear the tapes.
Now, there were girls lined up and they'll lie about me and say that I did this and rape them and beat them, and they were children. They were child molesters. And you know, that's going to get a little bit of news out there. I never done anything like that. You know what? We believe lies. That's the best thing you can do. I don't care if it's a lie or not. You're a fucking child molester. If I scream that out, that website, everybody in there is going to say, you're going to believe me and not me. And you know how much of a leg you have to stand on? No. And guess what happened? COVID. COVID didn't happen. You had no way of writing it didn't happen. And you know that there's a girl, some girl that I sexually fondled and staring at her kids. Who's the best this for? Anybody I want to. It's invisible. It's a fucking law. Seriously, no, not anymore it's not. We took that away since we shot Kennedy in 1963. Where the fuck is your head? We changed the rules. We just forgot to say you the law. And in 1 second, we're going to change the rules again. And let's not constrain your those rules up. So whenever I say the law, I got the badge, I got the gun, and I can do anything I want to do. And guess how much recourse you got? Your daddy owes a Fortune 500 multi-millionaire to bring your ass out like some movie star who fucks up, cleans his wife up, and what happens? 2 days later, he bails out of jail. You ain't bailing out of jail. There's nobody to bail you out of. Okay, that's how I'm going to leave you there. I'm not afraid of the intimidation. You already learned that in the past 10 years. You don't want to
Robinson. I tried to take these proofs to New Jersey to my friends. Once again, what was happening at social places, I would beg people, please talk to me. Just hear these tapes. Please, I'll be able to see my daughter. And people just start making up lies, call the police, that I was fondling them, sexually harassing them and stuff. They would just make up lies. After that, I went to New Jersey, and they saw me and immediately threw me in prison with no trial for 3.5 years because I had these proofs. Again, I was always the top producer, whatever I did. The administration would pull me aside and ask me to train people and show them what I did. Success came very easy to me. This guy admits now they're changing my identity, trying to make me out to be a potato peeler, and that I will never ever work again or be able to wear a shirt and tie again.
Top producer in your company, you guys fired me about this fucking person up there, trying to make it look like I was a potato peeler. No, but I need you to be a potato peeler. Wow! Because you gotta get away from me. You're never going back there again. They will never listen to you that ever. Never wear a tie ever again. Yes or no? But you want to be a potato peeler, you have to start somewhere. I understand that. I'm not the top. No. I'm rather up you over the coals, and you will never wear a certain tie for the rest of your life. You're going to be lucky to pick up dog shit in the park. Nothing said to me, heroin, roofies, which I don't know what it is, answer for sex. Before fucking days, you don't know what your name is, you don't know what it is. Something called sodium chloride in small increments to speed up a heart attack. Stop pissing people off, they won't poison you.
He just admitted that they were doing this to me. He says, stop pissing people off, we won't poison you. It was not the first time. There are dozens of other people that stated that on tape. I was losing 20, 30, 40, up to 50 pounds. I went from 203 to about 153, and they stole, like this Wayne Shaselka in South Carolina covering up bribery, and about 28 to 30 minutes, you drag it there, you hear the pastor, Wayne Shaselka, stealing those proofs. They would steal these tapes. There is a Rich Robinson at Epworth Church on James Island admits in my corruption part 2 that they were stealing from my lockbox, stealing my daughter's court orders, and stealing all the tapes with these proofs on it.
People are trying to poison you, steal you, run you off, put you in jail, and you say that too. Yes, they did.
He admits saying that everything he said in the past. Once again, I tried to present these proofs, and they kept threatening me. Everybody I was around, they would pay them to make up lies about me, as this guy admits. I tried to take these proofs to Jersey. They threw me in jail immediately so nobody could hear what was going on. Since 1989, my family and I have had to take my daughter's mom and Joseph L. Hinn, her husband, to court to see my daughter. Their whole ploy and plight was to force my daughter into court when she was 2 years old and force her to say she didn't want to see my family and I. Every year I took them to court, they wouldn't comply with the judge's orders. What you're missing still, 1998, Judge Randolph Sobryan had it. He had listened to some sound bites of Joseph L. Hinn confronting my daughter about speaking to me. This guy is very sick. He's insane. My daughter has been in need of hospitalization at time from living with this guy. He will not let her have any pictures of me, would not let me give her a baseball mitt, any presents, and would not let me talk to her on the phone. In 1998, Judge Randolph Sobryan saw all the court orders and told them, you are not, under any circumstance, going to bring that kid into court. I know you are forcing her to say you don't want to see Dad, Graham and Pop, everybody else. This woman, Sandra Altamari, picked me up at a deli. I knew her very briefly. You can look in YouTube, Karen Agnes and prostitution, I explain it. She knew that the police were always going to my daughter's mom's house and there were police reports, judges, she knew the whole nine. She called my daughter's mother, then started calling the judges. My daughter called me. Dad, they're doing it. All these people are calling the house. I had to go to court. They were supposed to go to jail. The 1998 Randolph-O'Brien order, raised seal, with all the bundle of rights and his orders written on the bottom, is constantly being stolen. You can hear the chief of police in Totowa in Corruption Part 2, 3 hours and 35 minutes, say, when I confront him about not writing court orders every time they steal that order out of my apartment. He says, well, that was a long time ago. I said, you guys fired me from my job as a loan officer at HSBC. He says, yeah, we did that. I said, you guys were dumping sugar down the tank of my car and not writing reports. He says, well, that cycle is over now. That's the chief of Totowa. This girl, Sandra Altamari, would call my daughter's mother and call the judges. Have to see a psychiatrist. I would tell them every day, you can't do this. The Randolph-O'Brien order and my whole 13-year relationship with my daughter, all the court orders, you're being called. I confront Nestor Guzman. He says, well, you can call your daughter. He was supposed to put my daughter's mom and stepdad in jail. Judges Ernest Capicello, Judge Guzman, were supposed to put my daughter's mother in jail. They're calling psychiatrists that are being called by this girl, Sandra Altamari. They know they're supposed to put my daughter's mother and stepdad in jail. All the tapes have been tampered with. That 1998 Randolph-O'Brien order is constantly being stolen. Anybody sees or hears what's on that transcript, people are going to prison. It's the whole key. It was constantly being stolen from my apartment in Totowa. Every single week I'd have to take a day off work and go see the girl up on the 8th floor and say, give me the raised seal order. She would say, this girl Sandra Altamari said, you're not allowed to have possession of it. I would go to the Totowa Police Department. They wouldn't write any reports. The chief admits everything I'm telling you in my 3 hour and 35 minute Corruption Part 2. My daughter and I were very, very, very close. There was a witness named Mary who witnessed what they do to her since she was 2 years old. They got married. This guy would confront my daughter if she got caught talking to me.
Oh, she was calling me 3 times a week. What happened?
That is him confronting my daughter. You were calling him 3 times a week? No! She cannot get caught. This is a very, very, very sick man. He tortures my daughter. She has had nervous breakdowns when she was 3. My friend Mary used to witness it. When she was 7, she came to me. My daughter wrote exactly what is happening to her. Google Danielle Sittel, 1387, which I will translate for you in a bit. I gave these court orders finally to my friend Mike. Mike was in Greensboro, High Point. His parents would not tell me his whereabouts. They were being threatened, as my parents are being threatened and forced to do certain things. That was way out of their character. I called Greensboro, High Point, Lanier. I finally got in touch with a woman. She was giving me the wrong phone number for my friend Mike Myers, who had these raised seal orders. I went to Richmond, Virginia, and spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars on hotels trying to retrieve this court order. I went into his office and said, hi, my name is Doug. They were expecting me. They lied to me and told me Mike doesn't work here. We don't have any Mike Myers here. I said, which is on tape and can be proven, I said, no, Rico Lanier information told me Suite 400 up here in Richmond. He works here. Could you please tell me what his phone number is? They said, no, would you please leave? They're trying to cover up that order. The obstacle has been removed. I saw Mike. All of the tapes are tampered with. And my daughter's court order from 1998 is missing. Before the obstacle was removed, I was able to talk to my friend Mike Myers. They will fire him from his job if he doesn't do what he is told. I was in an argument on the phone with him. He's saying, Doug, you do not need that court order anymore. Danielle is 28 years old, and you just have to roll with the punches. He's being forced. He will never be able to tell you. He's saying, but Doug, you don't need that court order anymore. She's 28. I said, Mike, I gave that to you. You've got to give it back to me. He's trying to talk me out of getting my things back from him. Finally, he says, okay, I'll meet you. That court order is missing, and the tapes are tampered with. The tapes originally went in a whole half hour of my daughter's mother saying how she knows this girl, Sandra, knows all the judges, and it was erased in the year 2000. The Total Police Department explains to you, Chief of Police explains everything he was doing to my car, firing me from HSBC, explains that it was a long time ago, you don't need those court orders anymore, we didn't have to write the reports. They were erasing the tapes and putting them back into my apartment. These tapes are tampered with. It no longer says what it used to say. In church covering up corruption in my YouTube, you can hear the guy at the shelter starving me, not allowing me any food or shelter. After that, you hear this Wayne Shaselka confiscating the tapes so nobody can hear what's on them if they haven't been erased and tampered with. This is a conversation with a Charleston police. He is a murderer, and he sent guys out with steel pipes to kill me. And after that, in Corruption Part 2 at 1835, after the guy with the steel pipes and steel rods attacked me a second time, Joe Meeks from the Charleston police came. In Corruption Part 2, if you drag it to 1835, he says, I am sending people out with steel pipes. Ha, 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 ha. He says it really fast, but you can hear it clear as day. This is one of their friends, the Charleston cop, Keith Hudson, admitting how they erased all the tapes. This is what he's talking about now. He says, gone, nope, all erased. We took it out of there so nobody knows about it. That's what he is talking about now. The tapes are all tampered with, changed around from what they were. And once again, the court order, I have spent hundreds of dollars on gas and hotels chasing this court order all around the country, trying to find it. Mike was being evasive. His parents were being threatened and told not to tell me where he is. His sister was being threatened and told not to tell me where he is. I finally got somebody from where he used to work to actually tell me where he worked. I walked in. They were expecting me. They said, oh no, there's no Mike Myers. We don't know Mike Myers. They looked in the computer. They lied to me. I said, well, High Point said that he works here. And a guy came from the back office and said, why are you lying to this guy? Mike works here. Before the obstacle was removed once again, Mike was forced to say, hey, Doug, you do not need that court order. You don't need it. She's 28 now. Why do you need it? I kept my cool. I was just like playing along. I said, Mike, those are my things I gave you. You've got to give them back to me. Once again, the tapes have been changed around from their origination, and court order is missing.
Now, I can do a real deep investigation on you if you want. You won't like what I call.
This is this crazy cop, Keith Hudson again. He's flipping out. He knows that I actually have these tapes. My daughter's mom saying, we know Sandra Altamori and we're calling all the judges. There's still little proof left. He's saying that he's going to do a real deep investigation on me and call all of my friends and call my daughter. And I'm not going to like what he finds because he's going to get samples of lies on me. 1998 court order that is missing that they keep stealing over and over and over has Randolph Sobrine on there telling them, no, you are not bringing the kid into court. You've been trying to do that since she was 2 years old. You are going to jail. This guy says he's going to call people and get samples of lies on me.
Also, late back to your fucking grade school, every fucking kid you ever grew up with, and I will get every fucking sample of lies about you, everything. Yeah, you're going to look at all. What happened there? I'm going to talk to them personally in New Jersey about your neighbors, your kids. Oh, shit, you're telling me you don't wrong. I'm not wrong. I'm telling you what they're going to tell me. If they're wrong, that's not my fault.
They threaten them with their jobs and their lives. My daughter is talking about the toxic water and air. You're saying, oh, no, that happened to me. I'm going to do a detailed on Danielle Sittel, Google, 1387. Looking through the court orders that have not been removed from my property that I just received, it says on-camera child interview. These things never happened when I was there. I was there the whole time for 2 years. Nothing like that, oh, well, we're going to bring the kid in and on-camera interview. These things never happened. It's being kept a secret from me. I was there. They know this court order, 98 Randolph Sobrine, the whole history since she was 2. They keep stealing that order. On-camera child interview, it's not allowed. It's in concrete. This guy is saying he's going to get samples of lies. I'm going to call your kid. You just heard him say it. She has been abused at that house. You hear the stepfather confronting her. That is what it was like when I would try and talk to her. I would have visitation where they go to jail. If he gets caught interfering with that relationship in the least manner, just for 1 second, he gets rushed to a prison. She was abused since she was 2 years old. This guy saying, you were talking to your father? No! That's what happens to her. She would try and talk to me at 12 o'clock at night when he was sleeping, 12:30 at night, 1 o'clock in the morning. I would go there. They would force her to say she doesn't want to see myself and my family. And the police would come. Play little pieces of sound bites that are left that have not been completely tampered with. There's all kinds of breaks in the tapes now. They're changed around. A lot of things aren't there. These conversations I'm having with my daughter's mother and her stepdad, I don't even have to have these conversations with them. I'm just playing along with them. I know I go to court. They go to jail. I'm just making it easy for my daughter. I'm saying, oh yeah, Abe, come on, you got to go to court. You know you got to be there. I don't have to go. I called a lot of people. I know a lot of people now, honey. If she gets caught doing that after year of this Arabic guy gets caught for 1 second doing what he is doing, they go to jail. That's why I'm amazed that they're having these conversations to know this girl, Sandra Altamori, and she's calling all the judges. The history behind this guy is he would tell my daughter she is not allowed to speak to me or see me. The judge told him, if I catch you one more time, well, we want to bring the kid in. Can't do it. The judge said, no, that's not going to happen. You've been trying to do that since she was 2 years old. I know what you're doing to her behind closed doors. You are going to jail. He just said, so I'm going to go tell her now not to go see you. They were doing that to my daughter since she was 2.5 years old. If he gets caught doing that, he goes to jail. Any one of these things that he is doing on these tapes, which have been tampered with and all changed around, he goes to jail. Now, if this guy knows he is going to jail, which the mafia is very cleverly stealing this court order from 1998, they do not want anyone to ever hear what is on that transcript or court order. This guy knows he is going to jail. He's been to court a million times and caught abusing my daughter and interfering with the relationship. He knows he's going to jail. What happened? Well, all of a sudden he says now, well, it's up to her and the judges, and he knows that's not going to happen. He knows they're not going to bring my daughter into court. This girl, Sandra, is calling my daughter's mother. It's been removed from the tapes. My daughter's mother saying, we know Sandy and all the judges. The total police department erased all of them.
I don't get it. You're telling me that you could homework up to her and up to the judge to see what's going to happen. You're telling me that you could afford to go to court and go through all this bullshit to prevent me from seeing Danielle. I'm not going to prevent you, but if you're going to take to the court, I will prevent you.
How is he going to prevent me from seeing my daughter if we go to court? He knows he's going to jail.
Okay? Whatever she tells the judge, I don't want to see him. That's her thing. I have nothing to do with anyone.
She just said when she turns 15 and she goes to tell the judge, I don't want to see him, she's already predetermined she's going to force my daughter to go in and tell the judges she doesn't want to see my family and I anymore. She knows she's going to jail. These conversations I'm having with her, I'm just playing along with her. I don't want them to torture my daughter. I'm not saying, look, you're going to jail. You know what the judge told you. You've been doing this since you was 2. Your husband's a very sick man. You're a very sick person. You're going to jail. That's what I would have said to her. That they're going to attack my daughter. Like you'd never ever want to know. She gets caught doing that, she goes to jail. She tells the judge, I don't want to see him. She gets caught. She goes to prison. They've been doing that since she was 2. The 1998 Randolph O'Brien order is missing. The whole key is on that transcript. She's very brazen. She's got this girl Sandy calling the judges for her. No fear of going to jail. All these psychiatrists and court orders, me taking 2 and 3 days off of work and going year after year to court, they go to jail. That's what they're hiding from everybody is the court orders they keep stealing. After the 1998 Randolph O'Brien, they would never ever say a peep. They know they're going to jail. They know I will write a show of cause, an emergent hearing, and rush to court and lock them both up. My daughter's been in great danger. She writes in her 1387 Danielle Sittel WordPress. I just looked after my daughter called me back then and said, Dad, they're doing it again. You're going to have to go to court. All these people are calling the house. Court is fixed. I just looked at the first court hearing that Sandra Altamori called a Margaret McVeigh. In that court hearing, she says, oh, he talks to her about sex. They suspended my visitation. I had to go see a psychiatrist. They already know they're supposed to put my daughter's mother and stepdad immediately in jail. After years of this going to court, this, what's his name, Nestor Guzman, that keeps throwing me in jail and threatening me and telling me if I present these proofs to anybody, I'm going back to jail. On that court hearing, my daughter's mother says, well, he used to do sexual things to her when she was little. That is what I've been accused of. I'm looking now at something that never ever happened while I was there in court. It says on-camera child interview. I have no idea. That is being kept a secret from me. That never happened while I was there. I was accused of sexual misconduct with my daughter. which she says and hangs herself 2 and 3 years later after the first Margaret McVeigh thing, which I'm reading now. It says he talks to his daughter about sex. 2 and 3 years went by. I went back to this Mr. Guzman that throws me in jail. My daughter's mother says, well, I wouldn't let him see her when she was little because he used to do sexual things to her. If anyone researches that, how the heck could I have possibly seen my daughter through the courts since she was 1 to 13 years old? Once again, she knows she is going to jail. She's been doing this with the husband since my daughter was 2 and a half. My daughter was 13. At this point in this conversation, I believe I hadn't seen my daughter in a year. My friend Mary is a witness to what they used to do to my daughter behind closed doors when she was 2 and a half and 3 years old. Her mother knows you are going to jail. She wouldn't even dare have this conversation with me. Who are these people which is left on these sound bites now? It used to say, we know Sandra Altamari, we know all of the judges, and we're calling the judges. They've been changed around. The total police department on my 3-hour and 35-minute corruption part 2 is covering it up. My daughter's mother would never, ever, ever even dare have this conversation with me. She knows she's going to jail if she gets caught. Drag back about 2, maybe 3 seconds. She says, oh, we could go on and on about this, but you know what? After she says, you know what? She says, I know Sandra Altamari, I know all the judges, and we're calling the judges. It's been changed, it's been removed out of there. That's what this guy Keith Hudson is talking about in his soundbite, where it says it's all erased. It's not there anymore, nobody's going to know about it. Charleston cop, his name is Keith Hudson. I'm repeating back to him what him and other Charleston cops have repeated to me after I lost 50 pounds. I would go to the shelter. They would admit they won't let me work. They're firing me from every job, and that the mafia will never let me go back to work again or wear a shirt and tie again. I tried to get in the shelter. They would not let me in the shelter. There's proof of that, an example. In South Carolina, churches erasing and tapes and confiscating tapes. In the beginning, I try and go to the shelter and get a plate of food. They won't let me have any food. This guy watched me lose 20 pounds, 30 pounds, 40 pounds. I was being starved, not allowed to work, and he was poisoning me. He admits, clear as day.
Heroin, methamphetamine, and overdose. You know what this shit costs? This ain't cheap. I ain't gonna be wasting my time giving you my expensive drugs and pissing you off unless you step on my fucking toes and you piss me off when you were peeking in my daughter's bedroom window. All these things didn't happen, but you have to get away from that fucking system.
He's making up lies, saying I peek in his daughter's bedroom window. I would have these tapes in my pocket in South Carolina begging people, please, you've got to hear these tapes. Just step outside with me. Just talk to me for 1 minute. Everywhere I would go to the bar. I'm not going to go to Kroger's. I'm not going to go to the movies. I'm not going to take a girl to dinner. They will not let me work or have 1 dime in my pocket. I'm going to go to the bar. I have to drink water, 25 to 30 glasses of water all day long. They say, oh, well, he's at the bar. Anybody that knows me knows I have never drank. Anybody that knows me knows I hate alcohol and drinking. I haven't had a drink in 20 years. When I was 30 years old, We used to go to the club and socialize and meet girls. I would buy a Coors Light and nurse it all night long. Walk around with it so they don't throw you out of the club for not spending any money. I'd go to the bar. Each bar, they would poison my food. I lost up to 50 pounds.
You know, the bartender is throw the shit in the water, anything, and you're done. Right. And you know how much you're going to try and get me, and you're going to have drug test, make it look like you're going to be drug addict. So you're going to fail. You're going to like it. Okay? Yes, or your answer. And then guess what? You're going to have a leg to stand out, and I'm going to suck up you every single day in jail for the rest of your fucking life.
Just said he's throwing the drugs in my food and water to make me fail a drug test. I said, yeah, you're trying to make me look like a drug addict. I've never taken drugs. He says, and then we're going to in jail for the rest of your life. I went to jail with no trial numerous times.
So the next time the cop that you don't know is going to get out, the first thing he's going to do is smack you upside the fucking head with a nightstick, and you're never going to wake up again. And yeah, the night will be planted, the shell will be planted. On you, and you're fucking called legalized murder, and we can get away with it every single fucking day.
Next he says he can't take it anymore. The whole situation of me having these proofs, which once again have been changed around and erased, he says, I can't take it anymore. The next time I see you, I'm going to come after you with a steel pipe and kill you and wipe off the fingerprints. He goes into more detail. In my corruption, part 2, if you drag it to 1835, another cop says, I'm coming after you, sending people out with steel pipes. Ha, ha, ha.
I just can't take it anymore. The next time I see you, I'm going to move my car and jump out of the fucking piece of pipe. And I'm going to continue to stick with that fucking steel pipe and go walk over 2 trains. And I just pull the pipe into the newspaper, and the pipe pulls out of the newspaper, right? And into the train, jump into it, into the train. So, look at it, if you live, you can only see over the steel pipe. The other side, you can come to the
Says if you live through it, you'll be able to say, well, he beat me with a steel pipe, but there's no fingerprints.
Now, there's these girls lined up, they're going to lie about me and say that I did this and raped them and beat them, and they were children. You're a child molester. And you know what that's going to do? We're going to believe that, though. I never done anything like that. Yes, and you know what? We believe lies faster than anything you can do. I don't care if it's a lie or not. You're a fucking child molester. If I scream that out in that restaurant, everybody in there is going to say, you're going to believe me and not me. And you know how much of a leg you have to stand on? And guess what happened? COVID. COVID didn't happen. You have no way of proving it didn't happen. And you also said that there's a girl, some girl that I sexually fondled and staring at her tits. Who the heck is this bitch? Anybody I want to be. It's invisible. It's a fucking lie. Right, it's a lie.
What he's talking about now is the court cases. My daughter's mom went into this Nestor Guzman, who 2 years before that she was supposed to be put in jail, her and her husband. They keep once again stealing this 1998 Randolph O'Brien order. Nestor Guzman's case, she comes in, says, I wouldn't let him see the kids. He used to do sexual things to her when she was little. If this happened, how could I possibly have seen my daughter through the courts since she was 1 year old to 13 years old? Once again, after the first court, after the Sandra Altamori started calling my daughter's mother and then calling the judges, the Margaret McVeigh, the judge, 2 years went by. I was working with this Nestor Guzman, writing to him, telling him that each one of you guys is receiving phone calls from the Sandra Altamori. And in that court hearing, right out of the gate, I confront him saying, you're receiving calls from the Sandra Altamori, you're receiving bribes. He claims he doesn't know me. Please Google, if you would, Danielle Sittel, S-I-T-T-E-L. Google Danielle Sittel. It's going to say Danielle 1387. Click on it. It's going to say just another WordPress.com. Start with 4-Hour Entertainment. You heard this guy, Joseph Elhin, confronting my daughter earlier in this series. Says, you were talking to him 2 and 3 times a week? That was at 12 o'clock at night. She would sneak to call me. This is already when the judges, numerous judges, told this guy, you're going to jail. I had relationship with my daughter's photo albums, videos, etc., etc. You hear him confronting her. You were talking to him 2 and 3 times a week? No. This is her message. She cannot get caught talking. Since the separation, this is what she's been going through. Danielle Sittel, Google, just another WordPress site, starting with an order, exact order, for our entertainment. Underline only. Evoke thought long after is mission accomplished. I work as hard as I can to tell. European movies, which is mob, exist in order to say something. American movies, which is myself and my daughter, serve no purpose, have no message. Film has a message to send, not purpose. Just underline these things in this order. Purpose meaningful for creating films, not the idea. Go next to lost in translation, underline only. Talk without actually having to talk. A lot of codes. Figure these codes. Every written word. Figure out what talking about. Have something important to say. Want to say something really important in person to avoid confrontation. I realize that although we're all together here, there's very little chance that we'll interact with one another. Somebody comes and they sit with you. Anywhere you go, someone follows you. They come up and they suspect you're trying to tell what is happening to you. Someone comes and sits with you and babysits you and monitors you and listens to what you're talking to somebody else about. Effectively isolate from our neighbors. Is there really anything wrong with that? Yes, there is something very wrong with that. There is a person on the other end of the phone. She's talking about the phone tap. We're all together here, but there's very little chance we'll interact with one another. She wants then about the postman, about how they take and they read your mail, so you can't get a message out as to what is happening to you. Underline next. Change what we mean. You say something or tell somebody something, and they change what you mean. They tell somebody else that you said something different than what you just told them. They change what you mean. They alter thought. Underline only. Next page, responses. Dr. Reynolds. Notice, doctor. Confronting her. Phone call anyone? Relax Blogger 22. This is my daughter's friends. She's telling them what to write to her so she can complete the message. Lost all personal contact. Not exactly what we have to say. Jade Cornacell. Use different expressions. People don't understand. Massey. Phone call is needed. Situations. Something important to tell. Message is important. Voice cannot be heard through a text. Misinterpret what someone is saying. Now in my corruption part 2, 3 hour and 35 minutes, there's a very, very sick psycho pastor named Rich Robinson, Epworth Church, James Island. Rich drives in, he calls you in, oh yeah, I know all your friends, I know what you're going through, we're going to listen to your tapes, get everybody arrested, we know you're being poisoned, wow, you look like you lost 40 or 50 pounds, and it turns out that this guy is actually robbing me. Says, yeah, do you have a lockbox? I said, what do you mean? What makes you think I have a lockbox? He said, well, I heard you have a lockbox. He robbed my daughter's 98 court order from this guy, Randolph O'Brien. You can hear him in the 3-hour and 35-minute corruption part 2. I restate to him, hey, you were saying something about my lockbox? Oh, yeah, well, I said, well, if you have a lockbox, it's easy for these guys to get into. He broke into it and he robbed everything that was in there. Then he says to me one day, hey, what's in your bag? I don't know. Why do you need to know what's in my bag? Why don't you leave your bag out in the bushes somewhere? Or I'm going to be attacked by steel pipes and not given any food. Back to my daughter's WordPress. Right where I left off, says something important to tell. Message is important. Underline these things only. She says later, blur out all the rest of the lines. Voice cannot be heard through a text. Misinterpret what someone is saying. In that 3-hour and 35-minute corruption part 2, you hear this psycho, Rich Robinson. Yeah, we hack into your email and we send people emails that are from you. My sister and I got emails from my daughter. She never sent. Oh, I don't love you and Grandma anymore. We don't want to see you anymore. I hate you. Please don't call me. My life is fine without you. She's not even sending these things. My daughter told me she got a psycho email from me. I never sent. I was able to speak to her for about 40, maybe 50 seconds. She said, Dad, is it really you or are they playing a trick on me? She said, I love you more than anything in the world. I think about you every day. I told her the same. Her husband got on the phone and says, look, you're getting too intimate with her. You're not allowed to talk to her. I'm going to put you in jail. After you get out of jail, we're going to put you back in jail. You can hear this nutcase, what's his name? John Epperly, the judge's friend, saying, if you have these proofs. I said, I have ironclad proof. Now, when I say that, I mean I have ironclad proof that they keep stealing this order and erasing and changing the tapes around. He says, well, you go to jail then. And arrested for carrying proofs of bribery. If you just drag it to 14 minutes, you can see the point. I know you. Take bribes. You're going to jail. Pick one. Go to jail or talk. Pick one. That's what this guy says. And arrested for carrying bribery in my YouTube. Okay, next, my daughter's site that was lost in translation. Next is Saving Sound of Music. Underline only. Women are exploited, forced into marriage, predetermined lives that some so desperately wish to escape. Life is chosen. Relate to the lyrics, they speak to us. Written just for you. That means this was written for me. I remember when I was younger, which no longer exists. Through personal experience, I understand. Underline. Hyper-aggressive, hardcore gangster. Underline. They dictate what sing. How they're influencing listeners, how they get paid, talking about bribe and calling judges and influencing people. Responses, Jade Carnicel, under that. Media's influence has a huge impact, singing about things they don't even know about. Relax Blogger 22. These things shouldn't be sung by girls their age. She is being threatened with her life if she gets caught talking. Next, on her site, in order, guilty pleasures. Underline only. She says, this past August sizzled and fizzled. Don't underline that. She's talking to me and saying year after year she's wondering when I'm coming home. Underline only. This time of year is best for for advertising. Kids need things. Notice the word need. Do we really need these things? Do not distinguish the difference between need and want. They are two different things. Advertisement. High school girl as the target for marketing. This nutcase prostitute, Sandra Altamari, who is in my Karen Agnes in Prostitution in my YouTube, they targeted my daughter. They were running a prostitution business out of their house. I have nothing to do with them. I left. I walked out, never looked back. They started soliciting my daughter where she would have to sleep with numerous guys all day long. And if she got caught telling anybody, they threatened to do something to someone in your family if you talk. Advertisement. Underline again, high school girl as a target for marketing. Underline only. How would a teenage girl feel? She needs to beeline it. Message delivered. Next page. Emphasis for girls is always on being desirable. Underline only. Message sent. Commercial. Reason. Notice them. Girls are marketed. Underline only. Girls are marketed. Underline only. More importantly, what message sending? Physically toxic environment. Breathing polluted air. Drinking toxic water. You can hear this Keith cop telling how they throw the stuff into my drink and food. Surrounded by unhealthy images. If you hear any of these guys speaking to me on these tapes, that's what she means, surrounded by unhealthy images. They come up to you and they talk to you and they brainwash you all day long. You have 10, 12, 15 people that you would never associate with in 10 million years. You would never hang out with them. You would never be seen with them. You don't want them there. They come up and they talk to you. They threaten you. This guy, Keith Hudson, is one of them. I nicknamed him Slick. Whenever I see Slick coming towards me, I know to push play, record on the recorder. Thank God. Back to my daughter's site. More importantly, I restate. More importantly, message sending. Physically toxic environment. Breathing polluted air. Drinking toxic water. Surrounded by unhealthy images. That's what she means. All these crazy people come up, they brainwash you, and they sit there pounding things into your head all day long. It's very unhealthy. Next, see advertisements that play into our, notice the word need she sends earlier. Need, underline, to protect our children. Underline only, pumps children with unhealthy images. No escaping it. Separate needs from wants. Teach. She wants me to teach you guys what she's trying to say. And it says earlier, through her own personal experience, she understands what was happening to me, also happening to my family. That's how they get them to do these things. One of you said, oh, my eardrums hurt. I understand. But you have to understand also, they are being forced to do what they do. Next page. Parents in tune with these needs. Underline only. Everything can to present product. Underline only. Do not distinguish the difference between things want and underline need. In fact, blur this line as much as possible in an attempt to convince we really do underline need. Viewer is convinced, absolutely need. Make sure child is not target. Earlier she says target for marketing. She is targeting multiple demographics of readers, underline only. Convince all types of viewers what they really need. Next page. Candy you are eating, underline only these things I'm saying. Toxic environment. Massey Tavares in responses. Start blog casual and brought us to the real topic. Relate. Parents can teach. She wants me to tell you what she's trying to say. Jade Carnicel responses. I like how you ask if these are things we need or want. As for school supplies, obviously, just underline only what you hear me saying. But don't need. This cuckoo, Dr. Reynolds, notice, Dr. Reynolds. They use psychiatrists to threaten you. If you tell anyone what we're doing, we will put you away. He's confronting her. Underline only. Targeted teenage market. He is confronting her. Underline only. Critical. Links posted. Avoid issues. She says, I need to speak to you, Dad, in person to avoid issues earlier. After all, this is a public site that goes worldwide. You know what, buddy? So does YouTube. Massey. Underline only. Changes. Specifically in what we need, want. Underline only. Hone in on these changes. Convincing us things need. Through advertisement. Think about things need. Now, if you underlined everything in order that I just told you, go back to the beginning and just read only the things that you underlined. Only. It says blur out the rest of the lines. That is what my daughter is going to.
How that didn't happen? You have no idea. And you also said that there's a girl, some girl that I sexually fondled and staring at her tits. Who the heck is this person? Anybody I want to be. It's invisible. It's a fucking lie.
I'd like you to next, if you come this far, go to South Carolina churches covering up bribery. At first, just proof that the shelter is starving me, not allowing me any shelter or food. After that, these tapes were given to a Wayne Chiselka. They were telling me that he changed them all around and erased a lot of parts. And I asked him for him back, and he won't give them to me. He's giving me the runaround. He's telling me to meet him at Waffle House, come to the Bible study. It's very dirty. They have the sheriff come and make up lies about me. And you can hear the sheriff come. They said, well, I'd like my property back. This Wayne Chiselka is telling me to meet him here and there and everywhere, giving me the runaround, and waiting for my tapes and telling him they're very important. You hear me tell the sheriff, yeah, go up to this guy, Wayne, and say, where's the guy's tapes? Where's this property? He comes back and says, well, they're at the sheriff. They're trying to get me thrown into jail. Next is Mike Hunt, the Aiken County Sheriff. I presented these proofs and tape recordings to Mike years ago, and he threatened to arrest me and trespass me off the property. This is Mike Hunt. Says, leave my lobby. Leave it now or I'm going to arrest you. I said, thank you, Mr. Hunt. It wasn't good enough for Michael Hunt. Once again, I had these tapes and proofs in my possession. I tried to present them to Michael Hunt. He immediately threatened to arrest me and threw me out of his lobby. After that, I walked outside. I tried to get in my car. 5 sheriff's officers ran outside and detained me. And Michael Hunt came out, and they were staring at me. And I was like, what's going on? We had our words inside. I said, thank you. I said, thank you, Mr. Hunt. And I walked away. He came running after me and was trying to intimidate me with 5 sheriff's officers, and they trespassed me off the property.
August 09.
They took my social and wrote me up for trespass. Guy says, this is a written warning, don't come back here. Got it. That conversation took place in Patterson, New Jersey. This is the judge's boy. He harasses me every day, threatens me, tells me he's making up lies about me. The same as this Keith Hudson, and everybody's going to believe their lies. And he says that he's going to throw me back in jail. This Judge Guzman already had me in jail because I had these proofs for years. I did 3.5 years in jail. This Judge Guzman threw me in jail with no trial, and these proofs are becoming more and more weightier and evident, concrete. Once again, this is the judge's boy in Patterson, New Jersey, making up all kinds of lies about me and threatening to throw me in jail after I tell him, look, I have ironclad proof that your boy is doing this stuff. And he says, well, you go to jail or keep your mouth shut. Which one do you choose? I don't know, Bob. This is another one while these things are happening. I think up a nickname for this guy. I guess I call him Slick. End of message.
With the raging winds, and when waves are 30 feet high, pounding the ship and will destroy it. God has given to you certain truths which have been designed in heaven to hold your mind and your spirit fast to the truth.